It was another gray morning at Southridge High, the kind of place where dreams faded before they even began. The halls buzzed with tired footsteps and voices that had long stopped caring. In the back of room 204 sat Jamal Carter, a quiet boy whose clothes were worn and whose eyes carried a weight no one saw. At the front stood Ms. Lorraine Whitfield, the math teacher everyone feared and respected. Years of teaching had hardened her. She no longer saw potential, only problems. Dropping a test paper on Jamal's desk, she said loudly, "Another failure? Do you even try?" The class laughed. "I did try," Jamal whispered, but she only shook her head. "Try means results. Maybe you're just not cut out for math." That night, his grandmother, Miss Etta, found him staring at his notebook. "Don't let that woman's words get into your spirit," she said. "You got something special, baby." But the hurt stuck. The next day, Ms. Whitfield called him to the board. His palms sweated, his mind froze. After a long silence, she sighed. "See, class, potential means nothing without effort." The laughter stung. From that day, Jamal stopped raising his hand. Weeks later, while waiting for Miss Etta at the small-town library, he wandered through the aisles until a book caught his eye, The Art of Numbers. As he read, something clicked. Math wasn't just numbers. It was rhythm, pattern, and movement. Every evening, he returned to study until closing. The librarian, Mr. Daniels, noticed. "You've got an eye for numbers, kid," he said. "You ever think maybe you see things different?" Jamal smiled shyly. Mr. Daniels began teaching him advanced topics, calculus, probability, even coding. Jamal learned fast. "I'm not useless," he whispered, "just undiscovered." Months later, the school announced its annual STEM fair. The winner would earn a scholarship. Jamal raised his hand to enter. Ms. Whitfield smirked. "You? Maybe next year." But another teacher, Mr. Benson, said, "Let him try." Jamal created Project Rhythm, a mathematical model that predicted natural patterns. Chaos made simple. He spent nights in the library with Mr. Daniels' help, his grandmother praying beside him. But the night before the fair, Connor Hayes, Ms. Whitfield's top student, spilled juice over his project. "Oops," he said mockingly. Jamal didn't fight back. He rebuilt it overnight, exhausted but determined. The next morning, the gym buzzed with excitement. Robots whirred, posters glowed. Jamal's booth was simple. Equations and an old computer. Ms. Whitfield muttered, "Try not to embarrass us." But when the judges arrived, they stopped. "Did you design this?" one asked. "Yes, sir," Jamal said. "All of it." They exchanged stunned looks. "You create a predictive algorithm used in AI systems," one judge said. Whispers filled the room. When the results were announced, the principal's voice rang out. "First place, Jamal Carter." The gym erupted in applause. Jamal stood frozen, tears in his eyes. Ms. Whitfield sat silent, her pride unraveling. Soon, headlines read, "From failing student to math prodigy." Universities called. Jamal earned scholarships, becoming one of the youngest researchers in his field. 3 years later, Southridge invited him back to speak at a teachers' conference. When he stepped on stage in a crisp suit, the crowd rose. Ms. Whitfield sat in the front row, eyes wide. Jamal smiled. "When I was here, someone told me I wasn't cut out for math. I believed it, until I realized sometimes it's not the student that's broken, it's the system that stopped believing." The room went still. Greatness doesn't always come in perfect grammar or clean shoes. Sometimes it just needs to be seen. Afterward, Ms. Whitfield approached him, voice trembling. "Jamal, I'm sorry." He smiled. "You don't have to be. I learned a lot in your class, just not the way you thought." She nodded through tears. "I judged you," he replied softly. "If you hadn't, maybe I wouldn't have worked so hard to prove I could." Years later, Jamal returned again, now a professor and founder of Project Pattern, a scholarship fund for underprivileged students. One morning, a letter arrived at Ms. Whitfield's small home. Inside was a certificate, the Lorraine Whitfield Grant for Hidden Talent. Her eyes filled with tears. Redemption, she realized, doesn't always come through apologies. Sometimes it comes through grace. Jamal Carter's story spread across the country, inspiring thousands. The boy once called useless had become a symbol of perseverance. And on Ms. Whitfield's desk sat his photo, Jamal holding an award that read, "From Failure to Genius." Because in the end, the lesson wasn't about math. It was about faith. Faith in yourself when no one else believes. Jamal's journey proved that the ones the world overlooks are often the ones destined to stand tallest. So if anyone has ever told you that you're not enough, remember Jamal Carter, because being underestimated isn't a curse. It's a setup for something greater. Sometimes justice doesn't come from revenge. It comes from rising. And the sweetest sound in the world isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right.